Somewhere around 42,000 years ago, someone picked up a hollow bird bone, carved 5 holes into it, and blew through one end. They were not doing it to survive. They were not doing it to hunt or to build or to find water. The hunt was over. The fire was burning. Everyone in the group had eaten. They were doing it because they felt like it. And that moment, in a cave in what is now southern Germany, may have changed the course of human history more than almost any tool, any weapon, or any migration ever did. Before you can understand why, you have to sit with something uncomfortable. Play looks useless. In a world where every hour matters, every calorie is precious, and survival is never guaranteed, an animal that stops to do something for no practical reason seems like an animal making a mistake. Every other species that has ever faced the conditions your ancestors faced prioritized exactly one thing: finding the next meal, avoiding the next predator, getting through the next winter. And yet here is the archaeological record, and it is full of things that have no survival value whatsoever. Flutes carved from vulture bones with 5 precisely drilled finger holes. Cave paintings that required someone to carry pigment deep into darkness where nobody could easily see them. Beads made from shells, pierced and strung, traded across hundreds of kilometers. Figurines carved from mammoth ivory. None of this feeds anyone. None of it builds a shelter. None of it keeps the cold out. So why did it happen? And why did it spread so rapidly, across so many different groups, across such vast distances, that it seems to have appeared almost simultaneously across multiple sites in Europe and beyond? The answer that researchers keep arriving at is disturbing in how simple it is. Play is not useless. It never was. The psychologist Stuart Brown spent decades studying play across species and cultures. His conclusion, published after years of research with colleagues at the National Institute for Play, was that play is not the absence of serious activity. It is the foundation of it. Every skill that makes a human capable of surviving in a complex, unpredictable world, pattern recognition, social negotiation, creative problem solving, the ability to imagine scenarios that haven't happened yet, begins in play. When an early human carved a flute and learned to change the pitch by covering and uncovering holes, they were not wasting time. They were learning that small, precise actions produce controllable, repeatable outcomes. That is the same cognitive skill required to make a better spear, to design a more efficient shelter, to predict where the herd would move next season. When a child played a chasing game around a fire 40,000 years ago, they were not just having fun. They were building the physical and social coordination that would, in a crisis, make the difference between catching prey and going hungry. The game was always also the training. The play was always also the practice. But the flute points to something beyond even that. The archaeologist Nicholas Conard, who led the team that excavated the Hohlefels cave flute in southern Germany, noted something that tends to get lost in the excitement over the instrument itself. The flute was found next to the Venus of Hohlefels, one of the oldest known human figurines, and close by were the earliest known human carvings. This was not a coincidence. This was a moment compressed into a single layer of cave sediment, where music and art and sculpture all appeared together, at the same time, in the same place, among the same people. Conard argued that this convergence was evidence of what researchers call behavioral modernity, the moment when the human mind crossed a threshold and became capable of something no other species had ever managed. The ability to create something that exists only in the shared imagination, a sound that means something because a group of people agreed it would, an image on a cave wall that represents a living thing that is not present. A story told around a fire about something that hasn't happened yet. That capacity, the ability to create and share things that exist only in the mind, is what allows humans to build religions, laws, currencies, nations. It is what allows thousands of strangers to cooperate around shared ideas they have never touched and never seen. It is, the archaeologist David Lewis Williams argued, the single most important cognitive development in human evolutionary history. And it started with a game, with a sound, with someone blowing through a hollow bone and discovering that the air coming out the other end could be shaped into something that hadn't existed a moment before. But here is where the story becomes genuinely unsettling. Neanderthals were playing too, or something close to it. The disputed Divjebab flute, found in Slovenia and dated to around 43,000 years ago, was possibly made from a cave bear femur with deliberately placed holes. Some researchers argue it was made by Neanderthals. Others argue the holes were caused by animal bites. The debate is ongoing, but the broader evidence is harder to dismiss. Neanderthals collected eagle talons. They pierced shells. They used pigment, possibly to decorate their own skin or objects. They buried their dead with apparent ceremony. These are not the behaviors of a species incapable of symbolic thought. And yet, the behavioral record of Neanderthals, even if it includes moments of something like play, something like art, never shows the explosion, the sudden dense flowering of symbolic objects, music, and imagery that appears in the Homo sapiens record around 40,000 years ago. Why did our play become more complex? Why did our games generate more and more varied symbolic output than anyone else's? The researcher Michael Tomasello spent years studying the cognitive differences between human children and other great apes, including chimpanzees who are highly playful. His conclusion was that the critical difference was not intelligence in the raw sense, it was joint attention. The human ability to notice what another person is paying attention to share a focus, to build a shared mental world. A human child playing a game is not just doing something, they are doing something with someone, in a way that requires tracking that other person's mental state in real time. That constant unconscious negotiation about what is pretend and what is real, about what the rules are and when they change, about what the game means, is cognitively demanding in a way that almost nothing else is. And it is precisely that skill, the ability to build and maintain shared mental worlds, that makes language richer, planning longer, stories more complex, cooperation wider. The Homo sapiens who played more, played in larger groups, and played with more varied partners were, without knowing it, sharpening the exact tools that would allow their descendants to spread across every continent on Earth. There is a moment in every child's game where someone says, "Okay, but what if we were actually going to the moon?" And everyone in the game knows that they are not actually going to the moon. They know perfectly well that they are sitting in a backyard. But they also collectively agree to pretend, to inhabit a shared fiction, to let the game be real. That ability to hold two truths simultaneously and to act inside the pretend one is so ordinary that most people never notice it, but it is the cognitive foundation of every human institution that has ever existed. A currency is a shared fiction, a nation is a shared fiction, a religious ritual is a shared fiction, a scientific theory is a shared fiction held provisionally, waiting to be replaced by a better one. The entire edifice of human civilization is built on the same cognitive move that a child makes when they say, "Let's pretend." Your ancestors did not know they were building civilization, they thought they were playing, and the first game that was ever played in the dark of a cave 40,000 years or more ago was already doing exactly what every game since has always done. It was making the world inside the mind bigger than the world outside it. And the world inside the mind is the only place any of this was ever built.